I hate anytime you're doing something, signing up for something or doing anything like that, if they ask you a favorite movie and a favorite TV show. I hate that question so much. Because I'm like, no, there's 1,000 shows that I like. I'm not just obsessed with one movie or one show.
Wait, what are you signing up for where they're asking you this question?
Well, there's all sorts of things. There's
like
the doctor's
like
office.
in the middle of a quad of a school where you're signing up for a credit card?
Yeah, or like anything you're getting interviewed and they're like, okay, lightning round, favorite movie. I'm like, I don't know.
Lightning round.
Yeah, like,
what do you use? Do you use exactly what you're saying or do you just say one? Do you go Shawshank Redemption? It's on TNT nonstop.
I think I always put, if I have to write down a favorite movie, I put Titanic as a funny thing. It's really not my favorite movie, but my wife's one claim to.
Welcome into Scoop City on a Monday. I'm James Palmer. Don't forget to like and subscribe because this offseason is going to be outstanding because we have the one, the only Chase Daniel joining me throughout this offseason as he's going to be breaking everything down. Look at his excitement because this is a quarterback special episode. We're going to talk about Fernando Mendoza. We're going to talk about these free agent quarterbacks, maybe some guys that could be traded for changing teams. Is that Tua? Is that Kyler Murray? Chase giving us his 2 cents on all the quarterbacks, whether they're coming out in the draft, whether they're coming out in free agency, whether they're available via trade. We'll cover it all. We'll also talk about the NFLPA grades that we're no longer going to see. Chase has an interesting tie to that. How are you, my friend? I got to start off with something. I'm scrolling through the socials on this weekend.
Yeah.
There they are. Drew Brees, Travis Kelce, Jason Kelce, giving a tip of the glass to the one and the only Chase Daniel. What was your reaction when you saw the video of Drew saying, salary per snap, greatest NFL player of all time?
Oh my God, I know. That wasn't the only thing he said. So Drew, everyone knows if they follow the show, right? Drew lives literally 10 houses down. We live on the same street, and I was his longest tenured backup, so he views me as the little brother that he can just poke and prod, and our kids go to the same school, we play in the same league in football, all this stuff. And so, dude, when Drew gets going on these stories, and he has some amazing stories, he just lets it go. And I think that showed his personality, but also it's I played with all three of those guys, all three Hall of Famers, played with Jason, obviously, in Philly in 2016. And then Kelce, I threw him his first touchdown pass. It was in the preseason, but I threw him his first touchdown pass. So for those guys to come at me like that was pretty funny. No, but it was, so the Saints person, Alex Restrepo, who runs social media for the Saints, they knew he was on. So he was listening at the premiere. He's just dude, you'll never believe what they just said. They talked about you for a minute. They sent me in, and then, the nose guard comment. Then my team, we were oh, we got to put something out on social media because it was too funny. So it was good. Those dudes are good people, man. Kelce is we spent 3 years together. He's one of my boys, and it was cool to see. So it was cool to respect too that he paid J-Mac, because J-Mac played there too, receiver for the Chiefs, and so J-Mac was my guy in Mizzou. Yeah, so it was really cool.
Yeah, that was. And also I heard from Kelce, he was like, "Hey, Chase at Mizzou now, that was something." And I was that's right, man. That's right. Funny. Yes.
Awesome.
That was outstanding. 3 great dudes. I know them all well too. The Kelce brothers more than Drew, but great guys. Great dudes. We're going to get into some quarterback talk here, Chase. You have done a lot of work on. I don't know how many years we've had in this with the draft where it goes, okay, we just have one guy. One guy will be the number 1 overall pick, and it's Fernando Mendoza. So everybody, especially in Raiders Nation right now, as we tape this, is fascinated about Fernando Mendoza and what they could potentially be getting. We'll talk about the fit with Klint Kubiak, maybe the fit with some of the weapons he'll have around him. But the first thing I have to ask you is what stands out most when you talk about a guy who is the surefire number 1 overall pick in this year's draft? What stands out to you most about Fernando Mendoza?
That's a great question. I would say it's the one thing that you can't measure, and it's heart. It is heart, absolute heart. And what that means for a quarterback, you're like, oh, how do you measure it? I'm like, how do you can't. There's measurables and there's intangibles, right? And so he is very, very high on the scale of intangibles. And so when I look at him and I've talked to him, He's like the nicest dude. I put out this is funny. I put out like breakdown on my Instagram channel and YouTube channel, and we have a little bit of a connection because Chandler Whitmer, who's now the quarterback coach in Tampa Bay before the year, ended up texting me. We spent time with Chandler. I spent time 2 years in the LA Chargers quarterback room. He was the assistant quarterback coach. He was literally sitting right behind me. I also coached Chandler Whitmer, okay, at the Elite 11 camp. Remember that Elite 11 camp?
Yes.
I was a counselor. He was so it just goes like way back. Anyway, before the season, Chandler reaches out to me, hey, send me what you and Drew and Justin did week by week by week by week, because we want to know. Fernando wants to know how he should prepare. So we went through what a Monday looks like, what a Tuesday looks like, what a Wednesday looks like, so forth and so on. And at the end of the year, he was on the Triple Option show with Mark Ingram, and he brought that up based on how I was able to tell Coach Whitmer, and then Drew Brees plays into it because I was with Drew. So long story short, he followed that entire routine that sort of Brees set that I took, so forth and so on. So it's a lot of connected dots. Anyway, I posted a breakdown of him, whatever, and he just reaches out over Instagram DM like, hey man, you don't know how thankful I am for your routine. Like, let's chat. Let's do. So I just saying that because he's just like such a nice guy. And I'm talking about heart. That was a really long circle to connect. But the heart, most guys aren't built like that. Most guys aren't going on Instagram trying to figure out hey, who can I say thank you to? And just everyone, everything I know about him, his teammates love him. His teammates love him. And I think that's half the battle. But it's just, for me, it's got to be heart.
Okay. I like that. You're right. I don't know anybody who has a resume through just one season, maybe as a starter, that can show, the entire NFL. Look at my heart, my toughness, my ability to rise in adversity within a game in certain moments. And those are all obviously massive traits you need to have at the NFL level. What I'm fascinated about is do you think this needs time? And I say that with not just him, but with a first-year head coach, a roster that has a number of holes. It almost has the appearance, Chase, that hey, year 3, and I'm just saying this, if Klint Kubiak can still have the job by year 3, that's just what happens in Vegas, and it happens with Mark Davis, and maybe it seems like he's taking a step back. If you realize he wasn't up there on that dais that they had up there with Klint Kubiak, he was actually sitting in the stands, sitting in the seats. I've been to a number of those with the Raiders. That's usually not what Mark Davis does. He's trying to take a little bit of a step back. This is a roundabout way of saying, with everything that needs to happen in Vegas, do you feel like the marriage between Klint and Fernando needs a minute to breathe, and hopefully we get that with the Raiders?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think he can be successful from the start. Look, it's a very difficult division. We know that with the way the Chargers have risen, with the Broncos, obviously. And then, dude, the Chiefs are still the Chiefs at some point. You have Mahomes, you have the best quarterback in the world. So it's probably the toughest division to come into as a rookie quarterback because, you have Herbert, you have Nix, and you have Mahomes, and then you have Mendoza. But I love the fact, let's just rewind. I love the fact, one, and I'm saying this right now on February 16th, fast forward to a year from now, I might not be saying it, but I love the fact that they went offensive head coach. And I love the fact that Tom Brady was so involved in that. These hirings and potential number 1 draft pick, they just scream Tom Brady. And so for me, you get the offensive guru who has been really good everywhere. Look back to his Saints year, under center, play action shots. Then you go with Sam Darnold and do what Sam Darnold does. I think that Fernando Mendoza can have success from the start. Now, here's what probably a lot of people aren't talking about is that Fernando really didn't play a lot under center.
Bingo.
And Klint Kubiak is a heavy under center play action. So I think that is going to be the tell in how well he progresses. And this is a very important time for Fernando to go out there and train all under. We know what you can do shotgun. We know that Fernando loves RPOs. We know that that's just sort of the college offense. The one thing I love about this, though, also is how insanely smart that Fernando Mendoza is, because that offense is no joke. You have multiple kills, you have multiple run progressions, you have multiple pass progressions. And so when Fernando is there with Klint Kubiak, I don't think they're going to have any mental hurdles. And that is the number one. I think the physical will catch up to it, but there's going to be no mental hurdles. So it's not going to be like Klint Kubiak is going to be in his offense and be like, hey, I need to do this, or I need to do that, or no, this is the full offense that they're going to run.
Okay. I love that. I think it's great. Only 3% of his snaps at Indiana were under center. So you're right.
There you go.
Just something that he didn't do a whole ton of. And with this, in the way you're kind of putting this together, I'm also looking at, we had Jackson Smith and Jigba get 44% of their receiving yards. It was an offense based off of really just one player in the passing game. I'm kind of curious, and I want your take. Brock Bowers is a tight end. Yes, it's different. But the number of places that you saw Klint Kubiak put Jackson Smith and Jigba in the backfield, in the slot, out wide, even though it was out wide, I think 80% of the time, he still moved him around. My point is, you can put Brock Bowers anywhere on the field to create whatever type of matchups you like. Is that something you could see them leaning on right out of the gate? And how do you see this offense that and with Fernando Mendoza utilizing Brock Bowers, who I feel like we forgot 2 years ago, there were people I talked to around the league saying this is already the best tight end in football.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that's a great point. And look, Fernando is going to go number one. He's going to start from day one. They're going to name him the starter from day one, rightfully so. And the quarterback's best friend, in my opinion, in every offense I've been to, is the tight end. Like, how can you, if stuff's not there, let's check it down. Like Bowers, if I'm a betting man, which, I'm not, I don't really bet a lot. I would bet the over on, like, he's going to have over 100 catches. Like, it's one of those things if he stays healthy, knock on wood. But then you have Ashton Genty too. That no one's like, he's going to become a better receiver out of the backfield, I think. So Brock Bowers and him, I think are great. Here's the thing. I think offensively, they're going to be fine. Like they have to do something about the offensive line. Like I don't think the offensive line play is great at all. And the biggest thing that Fernando had at Indiana was his line, man. He wasn't getting pressured. The ball was coming out quick. He makes quick decisions, because a lot of these things are like with Mendoza. He's sort of like an old school quarterback in terms of, because he's so smart, you don't have to give him just all progression reads. We've been through this, James, on this channel before, right?
Yep, we have.
Hey, just go to number one, then go to number two, go to number three. You can give half field progressions and cut the field in half. Hey, here's what we want to go against cover 4. Here's what we want to go against cover 3. Hey, here's your man beater in your head. That's what this offense is going to be. Now, how quickly they're able to do that and get on it is going to be critical in this division.
Okay. That leads me to my maybe last question on Fernando. He's not throwing at the combine. And so what happens in Indianapolis next week with Fernando Mendoza? Because I have kind of a thought, and you kind of touched on it there. He's got to get up to speed quickly. Could this be a situation where, I remember a couple of years ago, the Bears taking full advantage of their time with Caleb Williams? It wasn't like an interview process. It was like, hey, let's start. We need you to start working on these things. We need you to start doing this. There was a lot of getting a jump start before things even got going and picking him. Do you think the Raiders maybe lean into that a little bit with Fernando Mendoza, going like, hey, meet at the combine. We need you to work on this. We need you to work on this. Does that conversation, you think, already start next week? Absolutely.
I mean, look, there's no, because of the draft and what the Raiders need, and the fact that the Raiders, they're picking Mendoza. Like go ahead and turn the slip into the draft and just be like, hey, we're picking our guy. And so, this is extra time. I mean, all these little things, right? You got the combine, you got his pro day where he's going to throw to, you got all this other things. Of course, he'll meet with other teams. But if I'm Klint Kubiak, I'm like, here's the first 12 plays of install in training camp.
Yes.
Learn them.
Yeah.
Or here, a lot of teams send this to guys pre-combine. I would send the whole playbook. If you, I don't know the rules yet. I'm so far removed from it, but send the whole playbook. I'm sure Mendoza's already asking that. The one thing too that a lot of people don't talk about is and a lot of people struggle with in terms of rookie quarterbacks. Not last year, but 2 years ago with the Knicks class and Caleb, that was a little bit of an aberration because it wasn't the case. Your rookie year, okay, is the longest year of your life, because if you think about it, right, mental fatigue really can start to play in. Because think about, let's just take Fernando Mendoza, right? He transfers from Cal. Let's go back. Transfers from Cal, comes over to Indiana, okay? he's starting winter conditioning right away. Like he is on the mats, he's starting winter conditioning. Then there's no break. Then it's right into spring ball. He's spring ball and he's practiced. He's learning a brand new offense. He's doing all this stuff. You might get a 2 or 3 week break in summer. Then you're back in the summer. You're training with your guys at the camp, right? Like that's what you're doing. Then you're right into fall camp, right? So when you're in a fall camp and then you're right into this insanely way too long, we need to do another episode on it, season of college football, right? Which you play. And then you're right in, there's no break at all. You're right into training for the combine. And then once the combine's here, then you're right into the draft. And then you might get a 2 week break, but you're studying. Then you're right into spring ball OTAs with NFL. And then you get a 6 week break. That's a good break to sort of, but if you're a rookie quarterback, you're working. And then you go right into preseason. And then you go right into this. So you're 2 straight years of football. And that can be mentally taxing on a lot of guys. How Mendoza handles that, I think, will tell how the season goes with the Raiders.
Yeah, I think it's a big part. And his football IQ obviously helps him there. His ability to kind of pick things up quickly helps him there, but it doesn't negate the fact of everything you just listed that you have to consume and be able to digest. Okay, asking around, I know it's early, and there's so many different pieces to the puzzle within the draft, and specifically at the quarterback position. It's obviously the film that you put on tape out there. It's obviously the meetings that you have. You mentioned the combine. There's going to be visits. There's going to be your pro day. There's all these different aspects that teams put together when they look at these quarterbacks. As I kind of ask around in this early process, there's one other name that's coming up as a first-round pick, and that's Ty Simpson out of Alabama. And what I'm kind of hearing, as I mentioned all the different pieces, Chase, is this is a name that maybe as you keep gathering those pieces and putting it together might start climbing a little bit once teams get to know him better. Why am I hearing that, you think?
Yeah, I think there's no doubt that Ty Simpson's a first-round quarterback, and you're going to have two guys go in the first round. It'll be Mendoza at 1, and it'll be Ty Simpson. That's when the intrigue for me starts going. Is like, where does he go in the first round? How high does he go? Does a team know that really it's Mendoza? And then to me, it's like the next level down is Simpson. And then to me, so far, it's a pretty big drop to that third tier of quarterbacks. That's how I have it sort of tiered. I think Ty can be a starter in this league, given the right learning curve, the right people, all this stuff. And if you really look at him and break him down, even 2 years ago, and then last year, where he, before he got hurt, he was the best quarterback in the country. He was the best quarterback in the country in terms of just about everything: ball placement, accuracy, throwing on time. I mean, he was rolling. And it was really impressive because Alabama was like, man, they finally got like a legitimate, like a first surefire. And then he got hurt, and that played into it. And so I think when teams get over the sourness of like, oh, how the season ended, like games 7, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and on, then I think you really to pull back the curtain on what you're going to get. And to me, the one thing that he does, he's got a strong arm. He's extremely accurate. He's extremely in command. It's just, how do people see and perceive him around the league? Like, if you're a first round pick, man, you're a starter. Like, you're starting, right? It's all that. And so I think it'll be fun to watch and see how this entire process plays out. Like Jets, Steelers, Rams. Like those three teams to me are teams to watch for him in the first round. And then what's your sort of progression plan on him? Like, obviously, if you go to the Rams, you're not starting right away. But Steelers probably not start. But it's a good thing. Like, let him sit for a year.
Yeah, you mentioned those teams. The Jets have 2 first-round picks. Second one is at 16. The Rams have 2 first-round picks, the first of which is at 13. That's kind of the spot that a lot of people are kind of looking at with Ty Simpson. And I think there is that intrigue, right, Chase, of he's played under center a lot. He's run the play-action game. He's turning his back to the defense. He's done things that you're looking for your quarterback to obviously have to be able to do at the NFL level. And, maybe the one knock is he just wants a play to go on forever. Don't worry, I can still do something. I can still make something happen. You know what I mean? There's that aspect.
That's the one thing is his pocket presence, right? His feet are constantly like, that's one thing you got to like figure it out. But he does play in a pro style, like it's a pro style offense to your thing.
Yeah, exactly. And my understanding was, I think he got sick the second half of the year. He lost some weight, I think a good amount. Yeah. There was just some other aspects in play there. Him landing with the Rams. You mentioned the Rams.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just in my head, I'm just going like, boy, I know I'm not starting right away, but if I'm Ty Simpson, I'm going, let's go. If I'm going to the Rams in that room, right?
I love it. I mean, you're sitting behind a future Hall of Famer. You're sitting behind the MVP. You're sitting. You're learning from like Sean McVay. I think any quarterback. Forget about Ty Simpson. I think any quarterback that goes to the Rams is the winner of the draft if they draft him high enough, because like you have a chance. I know they love Jimmy G, right? But you have a chance to be like the next guy with Sean McVay. Like Sean McVay can, like he is like obviously next level. But you saw like sort of what happened to Darnold, right? In San Francisco, learning behind Kyle Shanahan, learning what Brock Purdy like. He says, Sam Darnold says that year was the best year of my life. There was no pressure on me to play. I learned everything. I was able to up my game and develop. I mean, something like this for Ty Simpson or Nussmeier or Carson Beck or whoever's. I think it'll probably be Ty Simpson quarterback too. But whoever gets drafted there, man, they're winning.
Yeah, they're certainly winning. You mentioned Nussmeier. That's the last one I'll touch on real quick here before we get into some of these guys that could be changing teams in the next block here. What do you see from Nussmeier? Obviously, the pedigree's there. Obviously, we saw 2 years ago, I think there was, after that season, a lot of high hopes, and then this year didn't maybe go exactly the way obviously he have wanted it to go. But where do you see his game translating, and where do you see maybe something he has to work on?
I think Garrett Nussmeier has the chance to move up the most out of any quarterback in the entire draft in the preseason process or pre-draft process, because like obviously teams are going to work his film, and I've watched a couple of his games, and you know it's hit or miss. He gets stuck on reads. He gets struggle with push in the pocket. Like he's not an athletic guy in terms of can't just escape every single pressure. But then there's these plays that you're like, oh my gosh, like the arm shines, like a deep shot to the field, back shoulder, like all these deep throws. It really, really works. And I think, you know, to his credit, he played really well at the Senior Bowl, impressed a lot of people at the Senior Bowl, sort of got his name back out there because a lot of people, including myself, sort of soured on him after the first couple games of the year, like, and he never really lived up to it. But you got to imagine, right? When you're in this process and you're these teams, you know better than anyone, James, right? They're not drafting you what you are right now. They're drafting you based on your ceiling. How much can we develop you? If you got all the things that my team needs, and a team might fall in love with them in second, third, fourth round. Like in there's been a lot of great third, fourth round quarterbacks that play a long time in this league and start. So he's definitely the most intriguing one, and I think he's the one who has the most to gain through this entire process.
I love that. I'm gonna follow him. I'm at the combine. You know, see what happens. Yeah, third, fourth rounders. You got Russell Wilson. You got Dak Prescott. 2 examples there. You know,
Kirk Cousins, dude.
It's where you can totally do it. Yeah, 100%. We're gonna talk about some of those names. Chase just hinted on Kirk Cousins. Where could he be playing in 2026? We're gonna break down where some of these guys could be headed, and maybe what some of these teams could be doing at the quarterback position with the quarterback shuffle happening in this offseason. More Scoop City coming up next. All right, welcome back to Scoop City on a Monday. James Palmer, Chase Daniel with you. We told you this was a quarterback-heavy episode. Well, you're getting it. We're going to talk about some of these free agents, maybe chase some of these trade possibilities, because it is an interesting quarterback landscape. There are a number of teams, you could say maybe 8 or 9, that could be looking at quarterbacks. And as we just talked about it, there might only be 2 that we're seeing taken in the first round of the draft. So how else could you acquire your signal caller? Obviously, you have free agency, but that really the cream of the crop there, it seems like in a lot of people I talked to around the league, is Malik Willis. You have the likes of Joe Flacco in there possibly. You could have Kirk Cousins added to that group when most likely he's going to part ways with the Falcons, and he could go back to Atlanta. We'll get to that. Yeah. You know, Jimmy Garoppolo, I think there's some names. That's why I want to start with the intrigue of possibly trading for a quarterback. Whether that's Kyler Murray, whether that's Tua Tagovailoa, whether that's Mac Jones, even though the 49ers say that they're not going to, I think everybody is tradable outside of about a dozen players in the NFL. So a number could always come into play that maybe the 49ers didn't think they were getting. But the first player I want to talk about is Kyler Murray. Because I think you do like his game, Chase. He's probably maybe the most talented quarterback out of all of these options that we're talking about that could be changing teams.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I think for me, the only person of this group, and Tua, Kyler, Kurt, all the guys you said, when I look at Kyler Murray play and I look at what his ceiling could be, and you look at spurts of the season, 3-4 game stretches over his career where he's played, and I've said this before and I truly believe it, he's played like a top 5 quarterback. And then there's these spurts where it's just like turn the ball over, get sacked a lot. It's like completely different players. So when I'm looking at the trade market, one, I'm looking at, if I'm teams, what is this quarterback draft like? And outside of Fernando Mendoza, not great. So what does that lead me to? Okay, let's go to free agents. Let's go to trade. And then so they'll go trade, then free agent. And you look at Tua or Kyler, maybe, all these things. To me, it's Kyler, because given the right circumstances and the right players around him, I think he can succeed. Now, what I've heard, I don't know the guy personally, is he maybe wasn't the greatest teammate of all time. He wasn't maybe around, everyone knows about the I don't want to say the greatest teammate, but like there's maybe some off-field issues, right? How much does he love the game? How much does he do this? Can he stay healthy? All this stuff. And if you're going to trade for a guy like Kyler, like you got to be really aware of how that affects your locker room. We know what he can do on the field. There's no doubt about it. And I like Kyler. Kyler went to a rival high school of mine, Allen High School, and I remember watching him play. Yeah, and he's unbelievable. But I would say, like, of the group, to me, like Kyler makes a lot of sense for a trade. It's just like, how much are you willing to give up, right? Draft capital for a little bit older quarterback. But if you look at the draft, right, this is a good year to be a free agent / trade viable quarterback.
Mm-hmm. It certainly is. Now, his contract is probably more complicated in the trade aspect than Tua's. Tua's is just like 1 year, $54 million. Obviously, a boatload of cash that is fully guaranteed. But Kyler's is guaranteed over the course of 2 seasons, which makes it a little bit more complicated. It's 36.8 in 2026 and 19.5 in 2027.
See, that's a bargain.
Do you think that's okay?
Like if you average it out, right? It's 38. I don't know. I can't do math off the top of my head. It's 28 million, 30 million a year.
It's 36. It's 56.3 total, fully guaranteed for the 2 years.
There you go.
Right. So I do get what you're saying. I just think that makes a trade a little bit more complicated. I think what everybody's trying to see is how much would the Cardinals be willing to eat? Are we gonna wait you out and he gets just fully released? And then you can do what? You can sign Tua or Kyler at the league minimum, and either the Dolphins or the Cardinals respectively are paying the entire salary essentially for one of those two guys. Do you have a fit for Kyler? Do you have a spot?
No, not necessarily, because it's just Kyler is. I don't think Kyler can fit every single offense. You have to be willing to sort of fit your offense around Kyler and build your offense around Kyler, because I do think, like, when Petzing was in Arizona, like, I like the under center play action heavy 13 personnel. To me, Kyler in a Jalen Hurts style offense and RPO spread it out, like actually let him do his thing, because he's still really good athlete. That's what makes sense to me. And a lot of times you're saying these trades, right, with Tua and Kyler, right? A lot of teams will eat a certain amount of the salary because you're buying a pick in essence for them. So if you're going to get, hey Chase, take on $12 million, I'll give you a 3rd round pick. Okay. It's been done quite a bit before. So I think for sure it's hard, but also that's how these teams are thinking.
Totally is. I think the Brock Osweiler trade, buying a pick, was maybe the most blatantly obvious purchase of a pick by the Texans, I believe it was, right? When I think they bought a pick to send him to Cleveland. Okay, well, I think a couple of these teams are fascinating. We're going to get back into where the players may fit, but the Vikings. What are you looking at in Minnesota? They've been pretty open about saying, they maybe would like a veteran player in that room with J.J. McCarthy. They kind of wanted to bring back Sam Darnold, but it didn't work out. They wanted to bring back Daniel Jones, but he opted to go to Indianapolis. Where do you see the Vikings quarterback room in 2026?
Great call. No clue. I mean, like, honestly, like, you look at the veterans out there, bro, if Kirk Cousins goes back there, like, I'm sorry. Like, I love Kirk, but that's a year fix, right? And it's just another Band-Aid on it. Maybe probably a year fix. I mean, Malik Willis, I think probably ends up maybe with the Dolphins,
You're
right?
Say
I would
do it.
I wonder why. Way to go out on a limb there, Chase. Malik to me is the only one that has a lot of intrigue to me, right? Because of like what he's able to do running the football and just how well he's been able to develop as a passer from his Titan day. Like, all that stuff makes a lot of sense. But you're looking at these guys, right? Like Aaron Rodgers, no, that ship sailed last. Like Kyler Murray, I mean, probably not. Tua, no. Like, so there's not a lot of choices and there's not a lot of options.
Garrett Carr.
Like if no, I mean, maybe that's not a bad idea, right? Like, I think he can still sling it, and him and KOC, that's intriguing. Probably get him for cheap. He's a playoff roster, but like, it's got to be a really frustrating thing for the Minnesota Vikings, because you have a really, really good roster and you just completely fumbled the quarterback situation.
Yeah, you're in a very, very difficult position right now. I wouldn't rule out Kirk. I mean, who knows? Maybe he goes back to Atlanta. Obviously, Kevin Stefanski was looking to add Kirk Cousins to the Browns quarterback room a year ago. So, obviously he's the head coach there now. I could also see, speaking of the free agents, couldn't you see Joe Flacco landing in Atlanta if they don't know if Michael Penix isn't going to be ready for week one? I'm serious. Like, I could see Joe operating that if they're not like, hey, Penix is not going to be back for the start of the year. Joe Flacco could be there in terms of free agency. The free agents are Flacco, Russell Wilson, Jimmy G, Marcus Mariota. You mentioned Malik Willis. What I've been hearing around the league, obviously incentive-based, but you might have to pay $20 to $30 million a year for Malik Willis because of the way things are and where he just spent
2-year
the
50.
Last year.
That's my guess.
2-year 50 is there. Like, that's a little bit above what you saw from Justin Fields when he signed with the Jets. I think a lot of people are using that contract, as I talk to people, Chase, as kind of a barometer for some of this stuff.
I like it.
Because it was 2 years at $20 million each. Then you kind of use that for some of these other type of things that could possibly
for Malik, man.
go on. Man, that could be really good. I heard it could be, obviously incentive-based probably with some of that stuff, but still it'd be really good for him. Okay, how about the Jets? Is that could be a landing spot for Malik. That could be, they need a quarterback to play in 2026. They have 3, I think, first-round picks for 27 and could be getting their future quarterback there. But what do the Jets do?
That's a great question. I think, to me, like, if you love Ty Simpson, you're rolling with Ty Simpson. If you're not drafting a quarterback. You are saving those picks for next year's class in 2027. You're trying to tank and you're trying to get Arch Manning. Like, that's what, like, could you imagine Arch Manning in New York? You know what I mean? Like, someone like that, like, to me, makes a lot of sense. Now, who do they? I mean, they have to have somebody. They have to be, and if you don't win, Aaron Glenn's probably out. And so it's just such a tricky situation to where Aaron Glenn was the hot hire, and then all of a sudden, like, the quarterback play was not there. And that's a great question, dude. Jets fans, I have no idea, and you guys have to be probably so pissed off about it. Like, there's just there's no good fit to me of all, like, and here's the thing though. Here's the thing that a lot of people are talking about. All these free agent quarterbacks you're talking about. Do you want to go to the Jets if you have other options, knowing that you're probably not going to win right away? You fired your play caller. You have a new play caller. You have all this stuff that's going on, and you're not a good team. You don't have a good offensive team, and this is your shot to make some money. Like, is it worth going there 1 year, struggling, winning 4 games, and then all of a sudden you're not the next hot quarterback? That's something to pay. That's why it's hard to get these guys.
It is tough, and that's why I feel like there should be, and maybe it will build, intrigue around Mac Jones. And the reason I say that is because the 49ers are going to come out, and they have, and this was all the reports on Super Bowl Sunday. Ironically strange how so many of them had the same report. We're not interested in trading Mac Jones. We're going to keep Mac Jones. We understand how valuable he is to our organization. Totally get it. But what really matters in this, Chase, and you know this as well, is value. And the value of Mac Jones is extremely high because of the player, and secondly, the contract. You would have him for like $4.5 million in 2026. Then you could control the future. I feel like, where does he rank among these names we're talking about in terms of the desirability? Because I feel like it's rather high with everything that is a part of getting Mac Jones, the contract being a big part of it, comparing that to, say, Kyler or Tua.
To me, I think he's behind Malik Willis in terms of, like, because of the value that you're getting. Like, a team's going to pay that much money, and then you look at, and I broke down a bunch of his games. I mean, he was able. He was so tough at the end. He was hurt, right? But he won a lot of games. He kept this 49ers team afloat till Brock Purdy was able to get back and played a lot. And I think that's what teams look at, right? Like, obviously, you look at, can you play? But also, man, everything around the situation of the 49ers and just how you're able to play in that offensive line. He was getting smacked, and you look at the toughness, and you look at, okay, he's coming off, I don't know how many games he played, 7, 8, whatever. And just what he can bring. I like the way Mac was playing. So yeah, that's a good shot. I mean, maybe the Jets, maybe go be, Mac Jones in New York. Who knows?
Up a pick. I mean, obviously you have to trade for him. That's part of it. But the value of the player and the contract are weighed heavily in these equations. And I think that's why there is still going to be appeal, and there's still going to be teams calling. Now, John Lynch can hang up on them, or he should listen, which is what he should do, just to see if somebody offers them something they weren't expecting to get. Before we bounce out of this, Tua, you mentioned Kyler seems like probably the most talented out of this group. Can Tua still play in the NFL? With everything that comes with it, whether it's the injuries or Mike McDaniel had to change some of the things that they did offensively, Chase, because of the risk of possible injury, or the next hit could be, I hate to say it could be it for his career.
No, for sure.
What is, you think, the perception of the league on how desirable you would be after Tua Tagovailoa?
That's, to me, this is the hardest one to look at because of the injury history, because of, he has to have a certain type of offense, and that's a timing-based offense. Rarely does he get past read 1 or 2. He likes to throw early and often, and just like the pinpoint accuracy. So, I mean, are you willing to take a chance on a guy that could get hurt and really has one style of offense? I mean, maybe, right? It's just, is he worth $54 million? Like, there's just no way, in my opinion, that a team should pay him $54 million for a year based on what we've seen, right? No playoff wins. So
they're just going to wait for him to get cut and let the Dolphins pay that, and then somebody.
I would say it's going to become and if I'm Tua, I want to get on a team now before free agency. I want to get traded so I have a spot. And these musical chairs, man, they fill up. And all of a sudden, now you're regulated to a backup role. And once you're in a backup role, it's so much harder to get back to a starter role. There's a lot of dynamics going on here.
Yeah, there really are. And I know that they are most likely parting with him from everything that I've gathered. They would prefer a trade partner than to the option.
Of course they would. They don't want to pay $54 million.
They don't want to pay $54 million. They'd rather obviously eat some of that 54.
Yeah.
And that's where I think that Fields number is kind of there. It's like, okay, like what if you guys eat 30 something and we pay him 20 or something? You know what I mean? I think that's kind of where it's at. Okay, but this is going to be fascinating to watch, Chase, because there still is Geno Smith as an option somewhere. There could be Anthony Richardson as an option somewhere. I mentioned Derek Carr. It's just a really wild group that you could be looking at. And with the draft playing out the way it is, it's going to be really interesting to see where all that's at. Justin Fields needs to play somewhere. I would think it's probably a backup role.
It'll be a backup
where
role.
he will land, but it is. It's just like an interesting group of options.
And none really stand out above, And so I think that's why Malik Willis is going to get it $25 million a year.
Which still seems like a gamble, but it also seems like maybe the smarter gamble compared to how much you know about the others. There might be an unknown with Malik Willis, but there's so much known about some of the other ones that maybe.
And it seems like a bargain. I mean, it's weird to say $25 million is a bargain, but look at the contracts, right? Like if he does and goes and wins 9 games, that's worth $25 million in general. Like no doubt.
Yep, and it's all about the options that are there. If Aaron Rodgers decides to come back. All right, then Pittsburgh's probably out in some capacity for the 2026 season. Okay, then that's a spot that's kind of eliminated. If he doesn't, all right, now Pittsburgh's in play for somebody to
musical chairs, man.
It's really, really wow. How is that? How do you think that is as like a player? like, and you're talking to your agent, like, well, how many options do I have here?
Well,
okay, well,
I've
now
been
this
a part
one's
of
now
it
gone.
a lot.
What is that like?
It's a little, and my agent was always so good about it. He always had exact teams that may have interest, or we may have interest in him. And then this is how many seats are available, and it's, say there's 8 seats, 6 seats. Well, there's 12 quarterbacks for a backup. Let's get your deal done as soon as possible in the right fit. I don't care if it's for the most money. You need a spot. And most times it was for the most money because my agent was really good. But like, that is definitely something, like toward the end of my career, when I'm at the bottom of like, okay, hey, I'm a little above league minimum, whatever. Hey, let's just get a spot, dude. I don't care. Because if you don't have a spot, then you're not in, and 2 quarterbacks, so it's harrowing at times, man, especially if you're on the lower end, for sure.
Oh God. I got anxiety like right now just thinking about
this is probably the most anxious time of year that I ever had as a player. Like February and March, these 2 months, I could not stop thinking about, where am I going to land? How am I going to fit into the program? Okay, what about my family? Where are we going to live? I mean, I was on Zillow starting in February. Like, all right, let me. If we're in Detroit, what city of Detroit? Okay, if we're back in New Orleans, okay, I think I know. But like, just constantly looking. Like, so there's all these things outside of football that a lot of people don't understand, that you're just like so anxious, and your wife's trying to hold together, but then your kids, I'm like, okay, well, where are they going to go to school? Who's the new doctor? Who's this and that? There's just so many variables.
I know your wife handled the anxiety by probably watching Seinfeld. You did something different, but that's neither here nor there. All right, more Scoop City coming up next. The NFL facility organizational grades by the NFLPA, they're gone? Chase has an interesting tie to this. Stay tuned. All right, welcome back to Scoop City on a Monday. James Palmer, Chase Daniel with you. As we close things out, we had to mention this, that the NFL, Chase, has won their grievance against the NFLPA's public release of the team's report cards. I always loved reading the report cards, just my 2 cents. I loved reading them. You were part of this process of trying to get these started. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I was a union rep. So 14 years. I was a union voting rep for 8 or 9 of the 14 years. And then the years I wasn't, I was still at every single NFLPA meeting. I was a part of 3 different CBAs and an uncapped year. So I have a very, very vast knowledge of the union, how it works, how everything's going. And we were constantly at the union trying to find ways to get the players' opinions out about certain things. Not only that, but I think the genesis of these report cards was really to allow free agents, when they're picking their next team, and I'm not talking about the free agents that are getting $50 million a year, like that, you're going because of the money, but that middle level tier, low level tier, which is a lot of players. Most of the players are under $3 million a year. And for us, it was like, all right, if I go to Miami versus Minnesota, and they have the exact same offer, and their teams are exactly the same in terms of, okay, I think both can probably make the playoffs, but I'm just using this as an example, and this is what we talked through.
These are all the things
for
you're
years.
Weighing.
Yeah. Like, so if you're a player and you're weighing those, okay, well, what will maybe move Miami above Minnesota or Minnesota above Miami? And we really wanted to help free agents, because like when if I'm in New Orleans and I got 4 offers to leave New Orleans, I only know what New Orleans is offering. I don't know what the New York Jets are offering. I don't, like, in terms of, okay, well, let's rank their coach. Let's rank their facilities. Let's rank the player health and safety. Let's rank how they treat families. And so that's sort of how the genesis of it came about, was to help other players in the union decide if money is equal, where to go. And so that it quickly turned into, well, hold on. Okay, that's probably a part of it. The biggest part is, how do you hold billionaires accountable?
Yes.
You can't. You can't. Okay, well, this is pretty cool. I think this is the case. So when those first ones were released in 2023, right? My last year in the NFL was 2022. So it finally came to fruition. And you remember when they were first released, it was like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy. And then all of a sudden, like the media got a hold of it, which is sort of what the NFLPA wanted, right? And then you're like, oh my gosh, like Woody Johnson as an owner, we ranked their owner, he got an F. Then the media did their job. It was like, well, why the hell did he get an F? And then everyone started going, and then, oh, well, Miami, they're ranked number 1. They got A in every single, oh my gosh, I'm going like, and then so there started to be more and more deep dive, a little bit reporting on like, oh, well, wait, hold on. This is really interesting. Why did Woody Johnson get an F? Well, we know why he got an F, right? Like, multiple things. And this is about the lowest an NFL owner can go, in my opinion, to be able to, they don't want the players' voices heard. And so you can't hold a NFL owner accountable anymore. This was the one way, because honestly, like James, the reason we wanted to bring about change, we wanted to make sure the facilities were great. We wanted to make sure the food was great. I've been in some facilities where the food is awful. Like I'd rather eat McDonald's than the food that was served. I can't go. I can't go.
I thought we're holding owners accountable.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, it's so ridiculous now that they did this. And you know what, James, the more I think about it, and I promise I'm gonna let you get a thought because I want to know. The more I think about it, because of the NFL blocking this, I think that these report cards will be even bigger deal, because the NFLPA is going to now leak these to the media, and the media is going to want to know even more, and the players are going to want to know even more. So you might have smothered a little bit of a fire, but I think the flame is still going, dude.
I like that. Here's the deal. And this is the part that I have the biggest problem with, Chase. Because of the report cards, things in facilities did get better. Like, there were certain organizations that really did take it to heart and got a lot better. And so that part about it doesn't make sense to me, where it's like, this actually did improve things for players. It did improve things for players' families. It also, when you're weighing these things, and I was waiting for you to say it, but I just know this is a part of it as well. You want to go to a place that goes, will they help me keep playing? Yeah. Playing as long as possible is your goal. You want a longer career. You know this, when you're weighing these different places, goes, hey, guys, go there. And either the practice facility, turf inside. I remember the old one in Houston. All the veterans would tell me that I don't practice indoors in Houston. Never. Yeah. Like Owen Daniels is like, I'm never going to put my knees on that turf. You know what I mean? I'm trying to last as long as I can. So all of these things are weighed within the process, and things got better. Like, there is an open survey in Denver that they give all the media members about the food in the press box, because ownership will change it if the reviews are not good. Yeah. And so that's the way I feel like they should be thinking.
Yes. And I'm with you. And I think feedback should be taken rather than try and smother anything that's ever bad about the NFL owners, because these owners and these 32 billionaires can't take it because they don't want it in the media. They want to, dude, the whole point of this is not he got here, he all this stuff. It's like, can you collectively come together and build a really great franchise at all aspects? Because no one's above reproach, in my opinion. Like, if you can take feedback and you can get better, and there's a lot of owners, like the Chiefs completely changed their food and completely changed how it was because Clark Hunt took that feedback seriously. He's like, oh man, because think about this. If you're an owner, what do you care about? The only thing you care about. What's the only thing you care about? Money. And so a lot of owners out there are very, very cheap. And when that happens, okay, cool. But all of a sudden, hey, maybe, you know what? A lot of the checks and balances within a franchise, how would I put this very, very cleanly? A lot of the checks and balances of the franchise, the janitors, the food, the field condition, the owners don't care, nor do they even know about it, because no player is going to go up to the owner. Hey, you know what, Clark Hunt? I think you need to reseed the field. No one's going to say that. And so a lot of times these owners just don't even think like that. And I will say there was a decent amount of owners talking to the PA that really took it to heart and be like, you know what? Yeah, we're a multi-billion-dollar business. Let's up our food. Let's do that. And what it makes a franchise better. It makes you get more people. But now I just think it's ridiculous that they block. It's just so dumb.
Yeah. So a part of it, and I'm just, reading through this, is like the PAs being essentially accused of like cherry picking certain comments to create a certain narrative of how really the report cards go. But I do think it's something that we read. I think it's something that everybody in buildings read. And I would be remiss if I didn't say, I would assume most of the people in a building reading the report card are going, that's probably accurate. Like, because there are enough people.
No doubt.
So I hope they become a bigger deal, in all honesty. I think it's important to
I think it will. I think that the NFLPA will now find a way to make these an even bigger deal. That's what I think.
Well, I would just go the adverse side and say, owners, guess what? Take pride in good grades. Strive for better grades. And maybe, you can brag to your other owners that you got great grades. Who knows? Chase always is a straight A student. Were you a straight A student in school?
Come on, dude. My dad would hurt me if I wasn't. He was like, you are, now this was in college, you are a student athlete. You're a student athlete. What's first in that equation, Chase? What's first? Student. I'm like, yeah. So it was all, and that was sort of, it was like homework before anything, homework before sports, like any of that. Yeah. So
man,
it was, I wouldn't say like straight A, but like a B plus would be okay every once in a while.
Okay.
High standards, man.
My son came home last night and he was just looking at the computer. He goes, let me check my math score. Yes, I got a C. I was like, what are you excited about?
Hey, goes, man, D's get degrees. D's get degrees.
He's like, a lot of kids I think did worse than me, Dad. I was like, I don't care. I'm not the father of these other kids, buddy.
I care about you.
I just care about you. And I care about you, Chase. This was awesome, man. I love that we knocked out this quarterback heavy episode. We're also going to have one next Monday at the start of the combine coming out. Chase, I'm going to ask you kind of about your experiences and everything there.
Well, I got some stories now.
Dive into the combine a little bit. I love it. Hear that? That's called a tease. I got some stories now. All right, take it easy, everybody.
Thanks for watching Scoop City. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and feel free to leave a comment. New episodes of Scoop City drop every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.